Welcome to your Hometown Solutions, where experts meet to discuss everything real estate from foreclosures to feng shui. Today's show is brought to you by Carolyn Wolf with Certified Mortgage Planners, your first contact in your real estate search. In the studios with me today is my co-host, Jonathan Lack. Hello, Jonathan.
Hello, and thanks for having me back.
And also we have a guest host, which is Carolyn Wolf with Certified Mortgage Planners. Thank you for sponsoring the show today. I can't even talk sponsoring the show. Okay, I got that out. All right.
Happy to be here, Jean.
Yes, and a little belated Happy New Year. We're into the 2017 now, which I have written 2016 on every check that I've written this week. So it's going to take a little time. We also have a very full house, and we'll be inviting our new guest, which is Greg Weiner with the Economic Development Commission, in just a few moments. And he has the 2016 report of our real estate economy and some forecasts for some new jobs perhaps coming into the area. So let's talk a little bit about real estate, Carolyn, because we always like to give some tips and tricks about mortgages. And since we're not going to be focusing a lot on the mortgage industry right now, because we want to make sure we get Greg Weiner in. Tell us a little bit about what's happening in the industry and maybe one of those important tips that people need to know about mortgages. First of all, you need to give us your NMLS number.
Thank you, Jean, for keeping me compliant. Yes, Carolyn Wolf, my NMLS license number is 268538, and I'm with Certified Mortgage Planners. And the biggest advice I could give to consumers today is, now that we are entering a new year, we're getting into January, we're filing tax returns, we're thinking about possibly buying, is get with your accountant, call us so that we can better have you structured as far as your finances and your income when you're ready to purchase, especially self-employed borrowers.
Yes, and we've had some great shows for first-time home buyers and for people with their own businesses. And you can find those great shows on the archives at talknetworkradio.com. If you haven't been to the website, go there and I always get upload and download. Upload the apps, and you can listen to us anytime, anywhere on your smartphone. So that's talknetworkradio.com. Right? Upload is from someplace else. Download is, if I got that right, John.
You got it.
Okay. I always get upload and download mixed up. So that's showing you where my IT is. We have, as I said, a full house, and we want to talk a little bit about, because Jonathan Lack, for those of you that may not have heard some of our past shows, we want to make sure you know who our players are here today. Jonathan Lack is a real estate attorney with Lack & Lack Chartered, actually owns Lack & Lack Chartered. He also owns Waterview Realty and Waterview Title. And you specialize in the real estate industry as an attorney. Is that correct, Jonathan?
That is correct. All things real estate.
That's right. Everything. There's not much that goes past us with Carolyn here and Jonathan here that we can't answer. So before we bring in our guest, I have a question for both you, Jonathan and Carolyn. Do you know, see if I can pronounce this right. I'm having trouble with my tongue today. Quintamodal. Do you know what quintamodal is? Got any idea? Go ahead. You can say since we've talked if you want to.
Something to do with multiple types of transportation in an area.
Yeah. So how about you, Jonathan? Have you ever heard that word before?
That word implies that there are 4 different modes of transportation in and out of the area.
Well, we're going to have that explained to us in detail because Greg Weiner from the Economic Development Commission, Florida Space Coast, he serves as a Senior Director, Business Development for the Economic Development Commission. His role is responsible for the development and implementation of the county-wide business development program, seeking to both recruit companies and help existing ones grow. He works as a key liaison with partners and clients to market and expand economic development opportunities for Brevard County. Yay! Welcome, Greg Weiner, to your Hometown Solutions.
Well, thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you here. One of the things I think comes up all the time, especially when we're out there in the real estate market. In fact, Jonathan happened to talk to somebody today that asked exactly, what exactly is the economic development and what does it mean to me as either a resident here or a possible company coming into the area, what does the economic development do? That's a big question.
Economic development is one thing, but it means different things to different people. Economic development, in principle, tries to improve the economic well-being of a given community. There's lots of different ways to do that, but the two primary ways are to create new jobs, which brings wealth to the community, and to expand the tax base, which allows various jurisdictions to make the improvements that we all enjoy. But from a citizen's point of view, it means different things. As an economy grows, and if you're around Brevard these days, you see a lot of this happening. There's lots of new housing developments coming up. There's lots of new shopping opportunities coming up. The community, which was very quiet in 2010, has come alive with development activity. So when we bring those jobs here, what it means to citizens is, more places to eat, more places to shop.
Right.
Just
Jobs is what it's all about.
Better entertainment options, all kinds of things.
And I know it varies from year to year, but Brevard County is usually at least in the top 10 of desirable counties in Florida. Is that still apparent as far as the economic growth
we're
and
in
so
the top
forth?
10 in terms of size. I mean, I think we're probably the top 5 or 6 in terms of desirability, especially from a business standpoint, because affordability is such a big driver of the desirability.
Right. We're still rated pretty low as far as the real estate market is concerned, so that's
Well,
good.
that's not just true in Florida. It's kind of true nationally. I mean, I think you guys are the real estate experts, but we do talk about real estate with potential clients because, especially on large projects, I think everybody understands that there is no location in the country that has 1,800 unemployed engineers or we do have a lot of rocket scientists roaming the streets, but most of them have jobs. So one of the things companies do look at is, well, if I do come here, we're going to have to attract talent. And so when they look here versus Dallas or Phoenix or New York or Chicago, wherever they may be looking, the cost of living comes into it. And one of the things we score highest on is a combination of the price of real estate, the desirability of real estate, and we're about middle of the road in terms of the tax burden that private real estate creates. But it is, by and large, a big plus. It's helped us on a lot of deals.
Yeah. As you know, Gene, I'm up from the South Florida area many years now, but I still have contact down there, still have an office in the Fort Lauderdale area. And our price for real estate here is so you can get so much more for your money here. I had a client in this afternoon looking for oceanfront properties. Again, this is residential, not commercial, but it does serve the new businesses coming into town, and they're looking for places to live. And she was asking about oceanfront properties. And so I do a search on oceanfront properties, and you can get onto the ocean so much cheaper and actually get a fairly nice home at what is considered a relatively reasonable price compared to South Florida. And actually, she was coming from Canada, and she was just in shock at how inexpensive it was. She goes, I couldn't get a regular house, much less an oceanfront house, for that kind of price. So it is. Our market is very favorable, I would think, to relocating companies.
It's a big plus for us. That said, everything is relative, and deals, location decisions are rarely made on one particular factor. So we have some advantage over other places in the country, but compared to Canada and compared to New York, it's a huge advantage compared to Little Rock or places in Alabama that we compete a lot with, or in Texas. Our real estate values are marginally less expensive. But still, it's a multi-dimensional game, and every time you win a light item, you improve your chances to win a project.
Well, and also when people are coming in from another state, they sometimes don't have any clue who to contact and so forth. And I'm just going to put a quick little plug in here for Carolyn. Sometimes they can still, they think that maybe when they get here, they can only buy the home when they're here. But if they've already got that letter of employment, that is all you need to qualify people for a loan sometimes, right? They don't have to physically be here just yet.
Correct, depending on the circumstance, but absolutely it can get them started and most times and not get them into the home.
So that was just I think you had a question for Greg.
Yeah, thank you, Jean. In the 2016 in review, what projects did the EDC accomplish? Or is that kind of a big question?
It's not that. Actually, 2016 by regular standards was kind of quiet. But the two big ones, I think, one was a company called OneWeb, which is a satellite company. which is going in the northern part of the county, and the other is Blue Origin, and they were both announced in the last 12 months or so. Those are significant projects, not just because of employment. I think between the two of them, it's something on the order of 600 positions. And
Wow.
average wages around 70,000. But they're important because they represent a diversification of business activity that occurs on the Space Coast. This will be the first satellite manufacturer. Most communities don't have one, so we're excited about that in the case of OneWeb. And in Blue Origin, one of the things that we have tried to do along with our partners at the state and Space Florida is to diversify the economy so we weren't just doing launch. And so the success we have with Blue Origin means that the body of the rocket is going to be assembled here, and that's a big plus.
That's great.
So the industry has been up till now very much tech related, and this adds a manufacturing component to the tech. Is that what I'm
Well,
hearing?
it's been, that in economic development they call it, point and shoot. We were the launch, and then people made the parts and they got shipped here, and they rarely even got refurbed here. So adding the manufacturing component, as you point out, is really, that's a plus. Manufacturing jobs are highly sought after, not just because of the wages, but they pay benefits. They generally have career paths. They're, that these days, if you're not going to be a rocket scientist, probably the next best thing would be to have a manufacturing job in a high-tech industry.
Right.
By the way, that puts that whole expression to a different plateau on the Space Coast when we say you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Well, there are a lot of rocket scientists that we say that too. So anyway, that's just our little joke. I understand that Brevard County is the leading manufacturer in Florida as far as amount of manufacturing positions, or is it companies?
Well, if you do a comparative analysis and you say that the state of Florida is equal to 1, in other words, all the manufacturing in the state of Florida equals 1, Brevard County is roughly 3 times more concentrated than the state, which is a good thing, and it is the most concentrated county in the state. I don't remember who the 4 below us are, but we're more concentrated as far as manufacturing goes, percentage of people employed in that field, than let's say Miami or Orange County or Tampa. That's a good thing, and that's a measurement that we point out frequently because Florida as a state is not a smokestack kind of state the way you think about Ohio. But if you're serious about manufacturing and you're going to do manufacturing in the state of Florida, Brevard definitely needs to be on the list of places you look at. There is that tradition here.
I know with Career Source Brevard, they had a program there to help retrain people on how to do things that it's been forgotten. People don't know how to assemble things or various different fields that now we've had to retrain people to do that.
Manufacturing is changing, and the requirements in manufacturing are not universal. There are a lot of people who worked in the space program who had not qualifications, but had technical certifications that were issued by NASA, which weren't necessarily transferable into the commercial realms. They had the skills, but it's like being a lawyer. You know how to be a lawyer, but unless you're certified by the bar, you can't practice. Similar things happened in aerospace. So Career Source and the universities and even recently the EDC have become involved in helping to train people and get the certifications they need to succeed in manufacturing. And what's required is always changing these days.
Does
That's
the
great.
EDC actually provide training as well as just...
We don't actually. We're not a service provider. We've been working on a program that called Certified Production Technician, or CPT for short. We've been sort of leading that drive, but we've been working with partners who are providing the training. Eastern Florida is one. And so we've been sort of running the outreach to get companies to understand the importance of it. It's important for 2 reasons. One, it does help people get into manufacturing. Everyone's got to start somewhere. It's a baseline credential that is stackable, so you can go on from there. But we don't actually, at this point at least, provide the training itself.
One thing about Brevard County that is always proven difficult for me when I'm wearing my real estate hat is it's very long and narrow. So I'm from, as I say, Broward County, which is a nice square county. It's a pretty large county, but it's square or rectangular, and everything is within reach of each other. Here, it's 50 miles or more from south to north. Do you find in your
72.
72. Oh, excuse me. So it's a very long county. So do you find in the Economic Development Commission that you're pitching north, central, or south, or you fit it to